Pursuit of the Truth Episode 3. In the previous episode, Su Ming ventured deep beneath Black Flame Mountain, discovering a scorching fire cave filled with ancient stalactites and the massive remains of a legendary horned python. Using its unscathed horn, he carved his own stone cauldron and began his first attempts at refining medicine. But the flames were unstable, the environment dangerous, and despite weeks of effort, every attempt ended in failure. Exhausted yet unyielding, he pushed forward, carving ravines to guide the fire and gathering more herbs with Xiaohong's help. At the end of the previous episode, after countless setbacks, Su Ming stood before the cauldron once more, holding two rare red herbs, one with 6 petals, one with 5, and knew he had to choose. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. I might as well try everything. Su Ming grit his teeth and threw the flower with 6 petals into the stone cauldron. The moment the herb touched the bubbling medicinal concoction, a deep, red, alluring light began to swirl within the cauldron. It shimmered and flickered, reflecting on the walls of the cave and casting an eerie glow across Su Ming's determined face. He did not cover the cauldron with a lid. Instead, he moved carefully around it, examining the fiery streams flowing through the ravines on the ground. These ravines had increased over the past month, and Su Ming had marked horizontal lines along most of them, creating scars that allowed him to control the fire with precise timing. With the horn in hand, he jammed it carefully into the streams, halting the flow in certain areas. The heat roared beneath his feet, yet Su Ming remained focused entirely on the cauldron. His heart raced with anticipation, and beads of sweat formed along his brow, running down his face like small rivers. He knew from experience that for the next hour, he was safe where he stood, yet his nerves remained taut, stretched to their limit by the intensity of the flames and the importance of the task. Hours slowly passed, 2, then 4, and soon the cauldron began to exhale a red mist. Unlike any ordinary steam, this mist had no scent but seemed almost alive, tugging at Su Ming's blood, stirring an excitement that made his chest ache. Every few hours, he adjusted the fire carefully, the movements repetitive yet delicate, born from a month of trial and error. Each adjustment had to be timed perfectly. A single misstep could ruin the medicinal pills entirely or even endanger his life. As night fell, his eyes grew bloodshot from constant vigilance, the shadows of the cave deepening around him. The cauldron's liquid churned and bubbled, tiny bursts of red mist rising from the surface. The sight filled Su Ming with both anxiety and exhilaration. He had spent almost an entire day in the cave, yet he was close now. Only one step remained. The final moment when he would place the lid on the cauldron to gather the heat fully and complete the formation of the medicinal pills. With precise timing, Su Ming grabbed the lid and covered the cauldron. Instantly, a low, rumbling sound resonated from within, shaking the cave walls and echoing into the distance. He exhaled sharply, retreating a few steps before sitting cross-legged, closing his eyes to conserve his energy. He knew he had done everything possible. Now, success depended entirely on fortune. 2 long hours passed. The rumbling intensified, peaking 9 times before gradually quieting, leaving only the subtle crackle of the fire beneath. Su Ming waited patiently, resisting the urge to peak too soon. Only when the next minor eruption began, and the flames beneath the cauldron weakened, did he open his eyes. Heart pounding, he grabbed a few heat-resistant herbs, carefully pushed the lid aside, and let the red wave of heat burst toward him. Prepared for the scalding rush, he stepped back, waiting until the heat dispersed, then moved cautiously closer to the cauldron. At last, the moment of triumph arrived. At the bottom of the cauldron sat 3 small, red medicinal pills, their surface glowing faintly in the dim light. Su Ming laughed, a mix of relief and exhilaration spilling from him. The pills were fragile, almost unnervingly so. A single misstep and they would crumble into dust. Yet none of that mattered. He had spent an entire month perfecting this process, enduring countless failures, and now the result lay before him in 3 tiny orbs. He inhaled their scent, expecting medicinal fragrance, but instead was greeted with a faint metallic tang of blood. Memories of retrieving the 6-petaled herb from the mud flashed in his mind. Could it truly have been the key to creating these pills? Intrigued, he decided to save the 3 red pills safely and retrieve the red herb with 5 petals, wondering if it might yield similar results. After meditating to restore his body's energy and recover from the previous day's exhaustion, Su Ming returned to the quenching process with the new herb. Time passed slowly, and soon he emerged from the cave, his body refreshed and energized. The sun's glare was almost blinding compared to the fiery red light of the cave, and Su Ming's eyes had to adjust to the sudden brightness. He surveyed the surrounding forest carefully, aware of possible dangers, before descending the mountain with the little monkey by his side. At the mountain's base, they discovered a river emitting hot steam. Su Ming soaked in the water, letting the fatigue that had accumulated over days melt away. Refreshed, he left the river and pressed forward, intent on testing the medicinal pills. Su Ming and the little monkey moved rapidly through the forest, capturing terrifying beasts with skill and precision. Once in a secluded area, Su Ming observed 4 bound beasts roaring and struggling against their restraints. From his bosom, he produced 2 small bottles, one containing red pills, the other green. The green pills emitted a faint medicinal aroma that invigorated him, while the red pills radiated a menacing aura. He had an instinctive sense that the green pills were the scattering dust, but the red ones remained a mystery. Cautiously, he fed 1 pill of each type to 2 of the beasts. Time passed, but no visible effect occurred. The beasts continued to roar and struggle. Confused but undeterred, Su Ming reasoned that perhaps the red pills were not meant to be consumed orally but instead functioned through direct contact with blood. Acting on this insight, he made small cuts on the other 2 beasts, allowing blood to flow, then applied the red pills to the wounds. Almost immediately, a horrifying reaction occurred. The beasts' bodies trembled violently before liquefying into pools of blood. The blood ignited into red mist, burning with fierce intensity, leaving behind only purplish red bones. The speed and ferocity of the reaction left Su Ming and the little monkey in stunned silence, their hearts racing from the terrifying display. Su Ming's eyes widened in shock and awe. He realized that these red pills were immensely powerful, capable of destroying life with terrifying efficiency, but harmless if consumed orally. Carefully, he stored the remaining red pill, naming it Scattering Blood, a lethal weapon of his own creation. Then this green pill should be the real Scattering Dust. Just what are the effects though? Su Ming fell momentarily silent. Then his gaze fell upon the little beast that was still completely fine even though the pill had melted into its wound. Su Ming thought for a long time, but he still could not figure out the effects of the Scattering Dust. In the memories he obtained, he only acquired the methods to make the pills, not their effects. The sun had already reached its zenith when Su Ming finally decided to leave the cave, his mind still spinning with questions about the mysterious green pills. The little monkey, ever restless, darted outside as soon as they returned to the cave entrance. Su Ming leaned against the rough wall of the mountain, feeling the cool breeze brush against his skin, and held the Scattering Dust pills in his hands. He turned them over, studied them, and frowned. Just what is their use? He muttered to himself. He had tried consuming one earlier, and he had also tested it externally, applying it to the wounds of some beasts. But nothing had happened, no effects, no transformations, nothing to show for all the effort spent creating the pills. The past month of meticulous preparation suddenly seemed wasted, a bitter pang gnawing at him. Determined not to give up, Su Ming made a decision. I'll just have to try it on my own. Let's see what happens once I swallow it. In an instant, he popped a pill into his mouth. The pill dissolved immediately, releasing a strong medicinal taste that swept through his tongue and traveled like a wave of heat through his veins. But the sensation vanished as quickly as it came. Su Ming sat down, meditating intensely to solidify his blood, but the results were underwhelming. His body felt no different, his blood veins were no fuller, no stronger. Frustration boiled within him. He pulled at his hair, exclaiming in dismay, "Impossible, there must be some other use." Despite his disappointment, Su Ming refused to yield. For hours, he pondered and ruminated, searching for any hint of the pill's effects. Eventually, he sighed and let out a bitter laugh, trying to steady his mind. At that moment, The little monkey returned, bounding playfully into the cave, and dropped a small pile of fruits in front of him before scampering off again. Hungry, Su Ming picked one up, biting into it slowly as he continued to mull over the puzzle of the scattering dust. One by one, he ate the fruits, counting each core he spat onto the ground. 1, 2, 3, until he reached 15. And then, realization struck him like lightning. His stomach felt full. 15 fruits, a modest number, yet he had never felt satiated so quickly. Normally, even after 10 fruits, he would only feel half full. Could it be? Could this be linked to the pill? His pulse raced as he connected the dots. He had taken the scattering dust earlier. Perhaps the pill was capable of replacing food, or enhancing the effects of what he consumed. Excitement surged through Su Ming. He immediately crawled back into the small quenching hole he used for processing herbs. Determined to experiment further, he retrieved the last remaining drops of dark dragon's saliva, a rare and precious substance he had been saving. Without hesitation, he swallowed all of it in one gulp. The cold liquid coursed through his body, mingling with his blood, and an intense, boiling sensation spread from his veins outward. The effect was immediate. The 4 manifested blood veins glowed a deep, bloody red as Su Ming felt the power coursing through him. His pulse accelerated, his senses sharpened, and a thrill of joy and anticipation swept through him. "I knew it," he exclaimed inwardly. There are no effects if the scattering dust is taken alone. But when combined with other substances, it amplifies their effects. Extraordinary, his heart swelled with pride and motivation. For the next 2 months, Su Ming hardly left the fire cavern. It became a second home, a sanctuary where he could train without interruption. The little monkey foraged for herbs, while Su Ming meticulously processed them using the scattering dust to accelerate their effects. Slowly, methodically, he pushed his body and blood veins to new limits. The 5th blood vein manifested fully, and the 6th began to appear faintly, a testament to his relentless discipline and the amplifying effect of the scattering dust. Winter arrived, blanketing the surrounding mountains in snow, though Black Flame Mountain remained conspicuously untouched by frost. A thick fog enshrouded the mountain, the steam and heat from the fires mingling with the cold to create a surreal landscape. Within the cave, Su Ming sat cross-legged, the blood-red glow of his veins pulsating like living fire beneath his skin. Sweat dripped from his brow as he focused, attempting to manifest the 6th blood vein fully, a critical step that would elevate him to a second-level berserker in the Blood Solidification Realm. The Spirit Devourer, a secret berserker art, waited for him once he succeeded. This skill, unique to their tribe, allowed practitioners to sense the spirits of recently deceased animals and temporarily absorb their strength. But it required preparation, focus, and fully realized blood veins. Each attempt brought Su Ming closer, though the 6th vein repeatedly eluded full manifestation. Every failure drove him harder, and every success, no matter how small, fueled his determination. The little monkey, red fur vibrant against the snow, remained by his side, silent but vigilant. It twitched its ears and perked its eyes at the slightest sound from the outside world. Then faint voices carried into the cavern, strangers discussing the sky stone. Their conversation revealed ambition and danger, the desire to break through the Blood Solidification Realm and gain power. The little monkey trembled, sensing the threat immediately, and glanced repeatedly at Su Ming, who remained focused, eyes closed, blood veins glowing brighter as he trained. The voices drew closer. One of them discovered a small hole, the entrance to the mountain, and realized it might contain the hidden treasures of the Fire Berserker tribe. Delighted, the intruders approached, unaware that they had stumbled upon a powerful berserker in preparation. The little monkey, sensing the danger, leapt out from its hiding spot, trying to intervene. The sounds of delight and mischief from the intruders echoed ominously, mingled with the cries of a captured fire ape, a baby no less. The threat to the mountain and the innocent creature ignited a searing rage within Su Ming. His body trembled, not from exertion, but from fury. Mournful cries could be heard after that, and then the voices gradually disappeared. However, within the cave, Su Ming's face had contorted in anger and he shook furiously. "You asked for this?" Su Ming lifted his head and roared in rage. The moment Su Ming lifted his head, his eyes were bloodshot. His entire body glowed madly with a blood-red light, and it lit the entire fire cavern. His entire body trembled violently as the blood coursed through his veins. His heart pounding so fiercely it seemed as if it would burst from his chest. The red glow from his 5 manifested blood veins was piercing and intense, illuminating the fire cavern with an almost blinding brilliance. Nestled within the glow, the 6th blood vein writhed, struggling to break free from its cocoon, desperate to manifest fully. Su Ming's mind was a storm of fury and focus. He had been in the middle of an important training breakthrough, but nothing else mattered now. He had seen the little monkey, his only companion and dearest friend in the forest, rushing out to protect him from the 2 intruders. That helpless, determined look on the little monkey's face ignited a rage in Su Ming unlike anything he had ever felt before. Veins bulged across his arms and neck, and a roaring, primal sound reverberated from deep within him. "This damned 2nd level," he bellowed, his voice carrying the ferocity of his emotions. He had always approached training with patience, but the potential death of his friend left him no room for caution. He poured all his energy into controlling the flow of blood in his veins, directing it toward the 6th blood vein. Each movement of his blood was deliberate, each pulse a battle between control and raw power. A sudden, loud boom erupted from within him, and Su Ming coughed up blood, his body quivering violently. The reckless surge of energy was forbidden for Berserker practitioners. Yet his rage and desperation gave him no choice. The echoes of the explosion seemed to shatter the world around him, though to the outside observer, it would have been inaudible. Clenching his teeth, Su Ming glared toward the cave entrance. The memory of the little monkey's fear and courage pushed him forward. He forced his blood into alignment once more, attempting the breakthrough again. Blood trickled from his mouth with each attempt. The 2nd time, the 3rd, the 4th, by the 5th attempt, he expelled a massive mouthful, his face ghostly pale, but burning with unyielding killing intent. Finally, the 6th blood vein manifested. The moment it formed completely, an entirely new aura erupted from Su Ming's body, distinct from the 1st level of the Blood Solidification Realm. His hair fluttered in an invisible wind as the 6th vein writhed across his skin. Alive and pulsating with energy, he had reached the 2nd level. Without hesitation, he sprang forward, faster than ever, his reflexes heightened and his perception sharpened. He grabbed a bow and horn, then disappeared in an instant, melting into the snowy landscape outside. The snow fell heavily around him, and the dusk light cast long shadows over the forest floor. Su Ming's eyes, bloodshot and cold, surveyed the terrain. One of his targets was a 2nd level practitioner, the other a 3rd level. Formidable opponents, but fear no longer existed within him. The capture of the little monkey had transformed his resolve into a singular killing motive. He had to survive, yes, but more importantly, the intruders had to die. He sprinted through the snow-covered forest, every muscle taut, every movement precise. The land was familiar, yet treacherous, covered with dried leaves, broken twigs, and hidden pools of ice. His eyes caught messy tracks on the ground, and a pool of dried red blood confirmed his worst fears. The little monkey had been here. The tracks showed signs of struggle, of a long time having passed since the intruders had left. Su Ming's fists clenched, his heart burning with fury. They'll return to their tribe, then I can intercept them, he thought. Taking the shortest path, he leapt forward through the dense snow, running like a predator, tracking every trace left in his path. Ahead, a small white creature, a mink raccoon, sprang from the snow, horns glinting as it charged at him. Previously, his strength would not have been sufficient to kill with a single strike. But now, as a 2nd level berserker with 6 blood veins manifested, his power had increased exponentially. He struck it with a fist, then finished it with the horn in his other hand. Blood sprayed across the snow in brilliant crimson, a stark contrast against the whiteness. Lowering his body, Su Ming concentrated, drawing the energy from his blood into the carcass. His 6th vein twisted, extending its power through his arm and into the mink raccoon. The creature's body convulsed, fur falling away, flesh withering, bones rapidly forming. Wisps of white mist rose, taking the faint shape of its former spirit. Su Ming did not refine it, he inhaled it immediately. Strength surged through him briefly, amplifying his abilities, though he knew it would fade quickly. He pushed onward, the wind whipping past him, each stride faster than the last. Survival and vengeance propelled him. Distance to the Black Mountain tribe decreased rapidly as he followed his prey. Finally, he crested a small hill, surveying the forest below. There, in the distance, he spotted his targets. One of the intruders held the motionless little monkey. Calmly, Su Ming drew a red pill from a small bottle, his final trump card, and prepared for the confrontation. He stabilized his breath, lifted his bow, and focused on the second intruder. His eyes were steady, controlled, cold as the winter dusk surrounding him. Su Ming narrowed his eyes and lifted his bow before pointing it towards the second man. Just as Su Ming looked at the person, the man also saw Su Ming. His eyes became cold and fierce. It's a berserker from another tribe and he's alone. Judging by his chi, he should only be at the second level of the Blood Solidification Realm. It'll be easy to kill him. We're also near the tribe and we're going up 2 against 1. The slightly shorter third-level berserker from the Black Mountain tribe smiled with confidence, his eyes gleaming fiercely. In his view, Su Ming was frail, a lone second-level practitioner with no chance against them. Strength and numbers dictated survival, and he felt entirely certain of victory. He didn't anticipate that Su Ming's quiet composure concealed a deadly resolve. His companion, Yu Kai, held the little monkey tightly. Yu Qi's eyes glimmered with cruel anticipation at the potential bloodshed, but he remained calm, unwilling to intervene in the initial confrontation. He was calculating rewards, observing from a distance. To him, Su Ming's life was insignificant compared to the opportunity to gain favor within his tribe. The third-level berserker leapt forward with the speed and ferocity of a tiger, closing the gap between himself and Su Ming within mere breaths. Snow exploded under his feet, sending a blizzard of white mist swirling in the air. He was now within 1,000 feet, approaching rapidly, the distance shrinking with each bound. 800 feet, 700, 600. A roar tore from his chest, so powerful that snow around him shook violently. Rising like a wave, he grabbed a long spear from his back and hurled it with precision. The piercing whistling of the spear as it cut through the air was accompanied by a fierce aura, deadly to anyone in its path. Su Ming stepped aside just in time, the spear missing him by mere inches. The man did not hesitate after the throw. Dark wisps of air enveloped his legs, accelerating his movement exponentially. In an instant, he had halved the distance to 300 feet. Die, he bellowed, drawing another spear with lethal intent. But the swirling snow dissipated slightly, and Su Ming's vision returned. In that moment, he fired an arrow with blinding speed, aiming directly at the advancing berserker. The man easily blocked it with his spear, but Su Ming followed with 3 more arrows, traveling in rapid succession. The trajectory was calculated to make dodging nearly impossible. The third arrow forced him to dodge, the fourth shattered on impact, and the fifth grazed his shoulder, drawing a thin line of fresh blood. Despite this, the man remained confident, grinning and stepping another 100 feet closer. He believed victory was certain, underestimating Su Ming entirely. Yu Kai watched with excitement, his eyes glinting at the prospect of carnage. Enjoying the tension of battle, he thought the confrontation would end quickly with Su Ming's inevitable defeat. Then, Su Ming did something unexpected. He abandoned the bow, letting the arrows fall from his hands. He stepped forward to engage the man with only his fists. Hidden within his right hand was the crushed red pill, its deadly power ready to strike. The move startled both the berserker and Yu Kai. "You asked for it." Su Ming's voice was calm, yet filled with unshakable certainty. The distance between them closed rapidly. 30 feet, 20, 10. The man, confident in his strength, swung his right fist at Su Ming's head with all the power of his chi, certain that a single strike would end the battle. But Su Ming's eyes, once pale and calm, now blazed with a terrifying killing intent. In that instant, he struck. The red powder from his hand spread in the air, some landing on the man's open wounds, the one on his fist and the wound on his shoulder. The effect was instantaneous. The Berserker trembled, frozen in disbelief. Before he could cry out, scream, or struggle, his body began to dissolve. He transformed into red mist as though boiled alive by some force beyond comprehension. When the mist dissipated, only a pile of bones remained, fragile and devoid of flesh. The wind scattered the bone fragments, leaving faint dust in its wake. Among the bones, a strange black and white herb glowed softly, its presence mysterious and otherworldly. Yu Kai froze, his mind unable to comprehend the sudden annihilation. His eyes widened, disbelief overtaking his senses. Then, Su Ming turned his gaze toward him. Cold, precise, unyielding, the boy moved with lethal intent, closing the distance rapidly. The fire ape's carcass will be a great supplement. I want it, Su Ming declared, his voice cutting through the forest air. Yu Qi's face drained of color. Panic set in as he realized he had failed to use the monkey as leverage. Su Ming's goal was clear. He intended to retrieve the little monkey by force. Terrified, Yu Kai bolted, abandoning any thought of confrontation. He could not fathom the speed and ruthlessness of Su Ming. You're fallen. You're a fallen berserker, he screamed, terror overtaking his voice. His legs trembled uncontrollably, driven only by the instinct to escape. Su Ming blocked any path back to the Black Mountain tribe, leaving Yu Kai only one option: run toward Black Flame Mountain. Su Ming hesitated only briefly, a wave of fatigue washing over him. His body ached, drained by the rapid exertion and the surge of blood energy used in the annihilation of the first berserker. He shook his head, forcing his mind to focus. There was no time to linger. He cleaned up the area, retrieved any usable arrows, and collected the mysterious herb from the pile of bones. He set his gaze on the fleeing Yu Kai, eyes burning with renewed killing intent. Xiao Hong was still in his grasp, and one enemy had already fallen. Su Ming's resolve solidified. He would pursue the other until the task was complete, ensuring his sanctuary and the method of his quenching remained undiscovered. The forest stretched endlessly ahead. Yu Kai dared not look back, concentrating solely on widening the distance between himself and Su Ming. But Su Ming's familiarity with the terrain, honed from years of traversing Dark Dragon Mountain, allowed him to track the intruder relentlessly. His pace remained unrelenting, every step precise, every movement optimized for speed and efficiency. The scattering blood coursed through him, amplifying his lethality and intimidating any who might witness his actions. Though he did not close in too closely, every obstacle he encountered slowed him only momentarily. The gap between pursuer and pursued widened and narrowed with the terrain. But Su Ming's focus never wavered. Su Ming did not chase after him too closely. However, he was constantly blocked by some obstacles along the way, causing the gap to widen every time he was just about to catch up and pounce on the man. Not long after, the obstacles started to make Su Ming hesitate. There was a saying that went like this: if you only have fighting spirit but no physical abilities to support it, in the end, you will still lose. Su Ming had been learning under the elder since he was young. Su Ming had spent years absorbing every scrap of knowledge the elder had left behind, reading countless scrolls in the hope that wisdom could one day guide him to mastery. Much of that knowledge had lain dormant in his mind, waiting for the right moment to surface. And now, as he pursued Yu Kai through the forest, every fragment of what he had learned came alive. His instincts sharpened, his body and mind synchronized, and the strategies he had only ever read about began to guide his movements naturally. Yu Kai, by contrast, was descending into panic. Initially, he had prepared to fight desperately, throwing everything he had into an act of pure survival. But Su Ming's methodical pursuit broke down every ounce of his confidence. One moment, Yu Kai would feel a glimmer of hope, thinking he might escape. The next, Su Ming would close the distance as if reading his thoughts, stripping away any illusion of safety. Over time, Yu Qi's courage and mental resilience began to crumble under this relentless psychological pressure. Su Ming understood what he was doing, even if he didn't consciously think about it. He had read a scroll long ago, describing how alternating anxiety and fleeting relief could wear a person down, both physically and mentally. The principle had seemed abstract until now. Each time Yu Kai thought he had created distance, Su Ming would adjust his speed, his position, and his attacks to maintain dominance. Each shift forced Yu Kai to expend mental and physical energy, driving him toward exhaustion without even allowing him to rest. Night fell as the pursuit stretched on, the pale moonlight reflecting off the snow, turning the forest into a surreal silver landscape. The stars above glimmered like distant eyes, silently observing the hunt below. With each burst of speed, each carefully aimed arrow that whistled past Yu Qi's ears, Su Ming manipulated the path of his prey. At times, he allowed Yu Kai to feel safe, only to corner him again moments later. He forced him to change directions, controlling the predator's perception and dictating the prey's body like a marionette. Su Ming even used Yu Qi's own strategy against him. When Yu Kai threw the little monkey to create distance, Su Ming seized the moment, darting toward the abandoned creature to recover it. Yu Qi's relief was fleeting, replaced by renewed terror as arrows once again zipped past him, sometimes striking the trees mere inches from his head. Su Ming's mastery over his environment and his understanding of his prey's psychology were becoming fully realized. The chase led them deeper into the forest, where the terrain grew more treacherous. Su Ming moved carefully, aware of the hidden traps scattered throughout the hunting grounds of the Dark Mountain tribe. Most of these traps were designed to kill the unobservant, to snare even seasoned berserkers. Su Ming had memorized their locations, but he advanced with caution nonetheless. Every step was deliberate, every breath measured. He was hunting not just with strength, but with precision and patience. His body still driven by the Blood Solidification Realm's power, his mind a steel trap. Yu Kai, on the other hand, was barely conscious of his own physical state. Exhaustion weighed on him, but the terror that Su Ming inspired kept him moving. When he saw Su Ming appear unexpectedly at the edge of his vision, it was enough to send him into panic again. His legs carried him forward automatically, his thoughts reduced to a single desperate goal: survive. Each choice he made, each turn, was dictated not by strategy but by fear, exactly as Su Ming intended. Eventually, Yu Qi's course led him into the deadliest section of the forest, a place thick with traps and hidden spikes. Su Ming followed carefully, the cries of Yu Kai growing fainter with each step. And then he found him, impaled upon a series of massive wooden spikes. His body bloodied, shivering, yet still alive. The sight was grim, a brutal testament to the consequences of fear and exhaustion. Su Ming approached quietly, his expression calm, yet filled with the weight of inevitability. He finished the act with precision, using his horn to end Yu Qi's life swiftly. Then, as always, he completed the ritual of the scattering blood. Yu Qi's body was transformed from flesh to bones, then to dust, leaving nothing behind but silence. Su Ming collected any remaining usable materials, including the small amount of scattering blood powder and the resources from Yu Qi's body, leaving the forest cleaner than he had found it, as if he had been both hunter and caretaker of the scene. As he emerged from the forest, Su Ming paused. The night had been long, the hunt arduous, and the weight of taking another life pressed heavily upon him. He looked up at the moon, his expression uncertain, a mixture of relief, fatigue, and the subtle stirrings of introspection. This was the second time he had killed a human, and each experience left him with emotions difficult to name: fear, doubt, nervousness, and a strange, heavy sense of responsibility. He considered the history of the Black Mountain Tribe and the Dark Mountain Tribe, their rivalry, and the delicate balance that had prevented full-scale slaughter. Despite the years of enmity, these tribes had avoided complete war, largely due to parity between their elders and the threat of mutual annihilation. Su Ming understood this now, and the weight of the balance and his actions settled over him quietly, almost tangibly. His body exhausted, Su Ming did not linger. He dragged himself through the cold snow, each step heavy with fatigue, until dawn began to break. The first light of the sun touched the peaks and trees of Black Flame Mountain, casting pale golden rays across the landscape. Finally, he reached the cave where he had performed his quenching, his face pale and sickly from exertion and lack of rest. He crawled inside, collapsed against the stone, and succumbed to the exhaustion that had overtaken him. When dawn arrived and the sun rose, Su Ming returned to the place he used for the quenching of herbs in Black Flame Mountain. His face was a sickly yellow. He crawled into the cave, and once he was inside, he fell to the side and fainted. In this episode, we saw Su Ming's journey through a series of intense trials, testing both his strength and resolve. We witnessed him pushing his limits to the second level of the Blood Solidification Realm. Driven by the desperate need to save his only friend, the little monkey, his rage and determination transformed him, unleashing a terrifying power that no enemy could easily face. We saw him confront members of the Black Mountain tribe, using his cunning, speed, and newfound abilities to outmaneuver stronger opponents. Through relentless pursuit, Su Ming demonstrated not only physical prowess but also a growing mastery of strategy and psychology, manipulating his enemies' fear and exhaustion to his advantage. By the end of this episode, Su Ming had not only rescued the little monkey but also faced the grim reality of taking human life, experiencing the weight and consequences of his actions. These challenges shaped him further, marking a clear evolution in both his abilities and his understanding of the dangerous world he lives in. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Pursuit of the Truth. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications for the latest episodes of Su Ming's journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.